live coverage of Formula 3 Asian Championship season 2020. We are now at Dubai Autodrome. This is the very first time this racing series come to Middle East, also with two race weekends back-to-back in Dubai and Abu Dhabi. Before the race starts, let's have a quick look of last round highlight. 各位观众，大家好，欢迎回到我们的直播现场。那么即将进行的是国际汽联亚洲3级方程式锦标赛第2回合第1场的比赛。在比赛开始之前呢，首先让我们回顾一下上一回合的精彩集锦。 So next to me is a new role of this racing series, the driver's advisor.
Yes.
So Alex, please tell us about your role.
Well, so I'm the driver standards advisor. So obviously, during the course of the race, if there are any issues with racecraft or drivers hitting each other, stewards will ask my advice on who was at fault, and they don't have to take my advice, but my advice is there, and that might influence their decisions when they have to hand out penalties.
Why this is so important for the?
I think especially when you're learning to race in this sort of championship, especially you need to understand what's acceptable, because the rules are the rules. But from series to series, you can interpret the rules a bit. There are always gray areas you can try to exploit. And drivers and teams are always going to want to exploit these rules. So to catch a driver that's going to do something naughty, I think you need another driver to catch them. And that's why it's good to have drivers for this role.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Bob.
Thank you.
Okay，那刚刚呢，我问到 Alex， 他因为也是一个新的角色，在这个在这个赛事当中，他也提到他的角色呢是这个一个车手的一个就是一个参考一个 advisor 的一个角色。那么他的角色呢是更多的是给车手建议，因为每一个比赛每一个赛事都有不同的规则。那么他的角色呢就是帮助这些车手更好的去理解这些规则，也帮助这些裁判们更好的去对于一些纠纷的一些判决。这也会给这个赛事，这也是这个赛事更加成熟的一个表现。Back to you guys.
Well, nice to hear from Alex Yoong there, a very experienced driver, the first Malaysian driver ever to race in Formula One. And if there ever was an experienced head for the stewards to call upon, then Alex Yoong most certainly is that. Of course, Alex Yoong making his way into Formula One in 2001, and we have some of the best young up-and-coming drivers in the world driving in this F3 Asian Championship, and they'll want to get to Formula One as well. There we see the grid looking altogether more full now, just about everybody sitting on there. Drivers in the cockpits and engineers and mechanics just making final preparations there. Everybody on the grid, 17 cars. And Ukio Sasahara is the pole man. And that is Nikita Mazepin, the Russian driver, and now he's sitting in second place on the grid and third place in the championship overall after a second, third and fourth place finish last time out in the 3 races we had at round 1 in Sepang. This championship, 5 rounds and 3 races in each round, so 15 races altogether. We've had 3 races so far in Sepang, and we'll have 3 more races in Dubai. 2 tomorrow, 1 today. And the pole man is Japanese driver Ukio Sasahara. And Feline's down there with him now.
Hi, Ukio. I know this is the very first time you come to Dubai, and you also made 2 pole positions during the qualifying section. How do you think about this track so far?
Yeah, first of all, Dubai, this track is really cool. And the qualifying session went very well. Team have done fabulous job to make the setup car and everything was perfect. So yeah, was happy that.
Thank you. 刚刚呢，我问到 Ukio， 因为他也是第一次来到这个迪拜的赛道来参与这个比赛，而且在2个这个就是排位赛当中都拿到了头位的好成绩。他也提到呢，那么他这个赛道呢，他非常快的就是在学习，从之前的一个练习，从之前的练习赛当中不断的在学习，也掌握了一些技巧，所以也希望今天在比赛当中可以呢有一个很好的发挥。Back to you guys.
Yes, the first time that Ukio Sasahara has raced here at Dubai, and it's a bit of a leap into the unknown for many of the drivers here. This is the first time that the F3 Asian Championship has moved to the Middle East. Every other round in previous years has been over in the Far East, in racetracks like Sepang, Buriram in Thailand, Suzuka in Japan, Shanghai in China. And this year, for the first time, we're moving to Dubai, and next weekend to Abu Dhabi at the Yas Marina Circuit, home of the Formula One Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. So it's a double header. this week in Dubai and next week in Abu Dhabi. Everyone will go straight from one to the other, no time to rest and recuperate just yet. And one of the great things about this 2020 F3 Asian Championship is the fact that it takes place so early in the year. The last round in Buriram in Thailand is on February the 22nd and 23rd. So by the end of February, the championship is over, and that means that the drivers will have a chance to then start another championship in the European season. So they can compete in 2 championships in 1 year. And let's have a look at this year's 2020 F3 Asian Championship. We had the first round not even in 2020. It was at the end of 2019 at the Sepang International Circuit in Malaysia. Joey Alders, the Dutch driver, emerging as the championship leader after that round. Now, the second round here at the Dubai Autodrome. Then from Dubai, the following week, we stay in the Emirates. We move to Abu Dhabi to the Yas Marina Circuit for 3 more races there. Then it's back over to Southeast Asia, back to Sepang for round 4. That's on February the 14th and 15th, supporting the Asian Le Mans Series. And just 1 week after that, we're up to Buriram in Thailand on February the 22nd and 23rd for the final 3 races of the 2020 F3 Asian Championship season. And there we are. One of the main reasons the drivers are competing in this is for the all-important FIA Super License points. For all these drivers, if they want to get to Formula 1, they need a Super License, and you get that by the finishing position in your relative championships. As you saw there, 18 points on offer for the winner of the F3 Asian Championship. And not only does the winner of this championship claim 18 points, but then they, along with all the other drivers in this championship, can enter into another championship when the European season starts in March and April, when the weather gets warm enough to go racing again in Europe. So the F3 Asian Championship, a very, very useful way indeed of accruing those all-important Super License points to get to Formula 1. We have a few drivers here on the grid who already have some experience in Formula 1 cars. Pietro Fittipaldi, the Brazilian driver. He is in the number 21 car, and he's got experience driving for the Haas F1 team as a test driver. Nikita Mazepin, the Russian driver who is second on the grid. He's also had experience as a test driver for Force India, which is now known as Racing Point. And many of these drivers, as we look at Thomas Ludi bringing up the rear, many of these drivers hoping to climb the ladder and get to the pinnacle of single-seater open-wheel motorsport, and that is the Formula 1 World Championship. Everybody just leaving the grid now, final preparations being made. Ukio Sasahara on pole position, Nikita Mazepin in second position. Jack Doohan, the Australian, son of the multiple motorcycle champion Mick Doohan, just 16 years of age, but he is third on the grid. And Joey Alders, the Dutch driver, who is currently leading the championship after 2 wins and a third place in Sepang, lines up fourth on the grid. Pietro Fittipaldi, you can see there in the red car, he's lining up fifth on the grid, and he had a very disappointing weekend last time out in Sepang, failing to score points in any of the 3 races. A very difficult weekend for Fittipaldi, the Brazilian driver. And if that name sounds familiar, it's probably because he is the grandson of the legendary Emerson Fittipaldi, the 2-time Formula 1 world champion and 2-time Indianapolis 500 winner. So Pietro Fittipaldi has some very big boots to fill indeed, the 23-year-old, and he lines up fifth on the grid, eager to make up for a very poor weekend last time out in Sepang. Sixth on the grid is Jake Hughes, the British driver, and Hughes and Fittipaldi will be getting acquainted rather more this coming year. It's recently been announced that the two of them, alongside Jack Doohan, will be competing in the FIA Formula 3 Championship with the crack HWA squad. So Doohan, Fittipaldi and Hughes all competing together as teammates in the F3 Championship after this Asian F3 Championship finishes. So they are 3 of the drivers taking advantage of the early running of this championship to then compete in another series later on in the year. Another driver who's released some of their plans for the rest of this year is Jamie Chadwick, who is lining up 10th on the grid. She's increasing her development driver role with the Williams F1 team. She did that last year, along with competing in the inaugural W Series championship, the championship only for female drivers, and she in fact was the series champion.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, there we go. Everybody ready now, everybody off the grid, just car and driver, and they'll be getting away on the formation lap very shortly indeed. It's one formation lap. You see the green flag waving there to the top left, there it is, and the drivers leaving their grid spots for one formation lap around this Dubai Autodrome. It's not a rolling start, it's a standing start, not like GT racing, so all the drivers will peel around slowly. You see them weaving from side to side there. That's to get some heat into those tyres and into those brakes, because they don't work very well at all when they're not at the right temperature. Very important to get some temperature into those tyres. And there we see confirmation. Ukyo Sasahara, the Japanese driver, on pole position. His teammate Nikita Mazepin in second place on row 1. Just behind them, it's Jack Doohan, the Australian driver, in third place. And Joey Alders, the championship leader in the 23 car, the Black Arts Racing, he is fourth on the grid. Fifth is Pietro Fittipaldi in the second of the Pinnacle Motorsport cars, and he's alongside Jake Hughes, who will be his teammate at HWA in F3 later on this year. The two of them share row 3. Row 4 is Yu Kuai in the Zen Motorsport car, the Chinese driver, in 7th place, and he's alongside Devlin De Francesco, the Italian-Canadian driver driving for Absolute Racing, who's in 8th position. Sebastian Fernandez, the Spanish driver, making his F3 Asian Championship debut this weekend for Pinnacle Motorsport, lines up 9th, and he's alongside Jamie Chadwick racing for Absolute Racing, and she's in 10th position. Behind Chadwick, it's Yu Kanemaru, the Japanese driver for Black Arts Racing, in 11th, and Amaury Cordial, another new entrant this weekend, another guest driver. The Belgian driver lines up 12th on the grid, just ahead of Alessio De Leda in the number 10 car for High Tech Grand Prix, and he's alongside Tommy Smith, the young Australian driver, in 14th place. They share row 7. Tatiana Calderon is in 15th position, the Colombian driver, the last of the runners before we get to the Masters category. The number 44 car, Paul Wong, in 16th place, and then rounding up the grid, bringing up the rear, is Thomas Ludi, the other Masters category driver, in 17th place on the grid. So this track, a bit of a leap into the unknown for many of these drivers. A lot of the Asian races in open wheel racing tends to take place in the Asia Pacific region, in the Far East. Now we're in the Middle East. This, as I said earlier, the first time that the F3 Asian Championship has moved to the Middle East. As Jake Hughes just gets a little bit sideways there. All of them coming through, warming those tyres, warming those brakes, and just getting a feel for the car. Just as a footballer, before he goes on the pitch, likes to have a kickabout of the ball, just to set himself, get his bearings. So the drivers just use this formation lap just to get a feel for the car, make sure everything is as it should be, as well as doing that all-important warming of the tyres and of the brakes. Several different layouts here at this Dubai Autodrome. That's why you see some of the bits of track there not being used. We're using the full Grand Prix circuit, all 5.4 kilometers of it, so it's a pretty long lap. Ukyo Sasahara's pole time, a 1:53.2. As the drivers just go round the tight left-hander there. It's quite flat, this circuit. We're obviously in Dubai. There's a lot of desert around, so it's not a particularly hilly place. As the drivers come round turn 16 now onto the main straight. That is Nikita Mazepin, the second place man. Ukyo Sasahara on pole position. Now Sasahara and Mazepin, obviously teammates, and Sasahara being a guest driver, he cannot score points in this championship, and I wonder if we might see him letting Mazepin go by fairly early on in the race in order to help Mazepin's bid for points here to win the race and ultimately the championship, because that's what he's here for. So Sasahara to the right of your picture in the number 11 car. Nikita Mazepin to the left in the number 3 car. And let's see how they do at the start. The green flag is being waved. We'll see the red lights come on at the top of the screen shortly. And then when they go out, it's time to go racing. The red lights are on, and the red lights go out, and we're racing here in Dubai for race 4. And Ukio Sasahara gets a good start. It looks as if Mazepin's been a bit crowded out there. Jack Doohan's up into second position. You can see lots of dust as they go offline here. But as they come up to the first right-hander, Sasahara still in the lead. Doohan in second place and challenging round the outside, but not making it through there. As they go through that kink at the left hand there, one of the drivers off on the escape road, but they've all got away cleanly, not too much in the way of incident. And Jack Doohan there in second place. So Jack Doohan up into second ahead of Mazepin, who lost out there. Mazepin down into third position. And Joey Alders, the Dutch driver, still in fourth place. As they go through the left-hander there, this into the tight sweeping corners around the top of the circuit. It's still Sasahara in the lead. Doohan in second place. Mazepin in third. And they all come around. You can see them all jockeying for position, trying to overtake. This is the long back straight, probably the best point for overtaking on the circuit. As they go through this tight right-hander, this should be a good overtaking spot. And you can see them all jostling for position, sometimes going 2 or 3 wide, and a bit of dodgem cars at the back there. But it looks as if everybody has made it through. One of them there off. It does look as if there's been a bit of an engine failure, but that's probably just a lot of the dust and sand that's being kicked up offline. Obviously, we're in the desert here, and it does get very dusty offline. So all the more incentive for the drivers to stay on the racing line as they come through the sweeping left-hander. It's still Sasahara up at the front. Mazepin in second position. Now appears to have retaken that place, Nikita Mazepin, from Jack Doohan, who is down in third place. Let's have a look. And as they cross the line, it's Sasahara in the lead. It is still Jack Doohan in second place, my apologies. So the Australian driver, Jack Doohan, just 16 years of age, still in second place. Mazepin down to third. Joey Alders, the Dutch driver, in fourth position. And Jake Hughes in fifth there, challenging, though that is the battle for fourth place between Alders and Hughes. Jake Hughes up one place from sixth on the grid. And Pietro Fittipaldi, who was fifth on the grid, has lost a couple of places. He's down into seventh. Devlin De Francesco up into sixth from eighth on the grid. So a good start for the Canadian driver. Jamie Chadwick also up into eighth position, up from 10th place. So Jamie Chadwick, also another driver to make a good start here at the Dubai Autodrome. But Ukio Sasahara still leading the race, but Jack Doohan very much keeping him honest. In fact, Jack Doohan's last lap, the fastest lap of the race so far, 2 minutes 0.6, and that was a second faster than Ukio Sasahara's last lap. So Jack Doohan is clearly a young man in a hurry. As we look at Yu Kwai just going up the inside there of the 33 car of Yu Kanemaru, and pushing Kanemaru a little bit wide there was Yu Kwai. But the Chinese driver there gaining a place, up now into 10th position. Sasahara still in the lead. That is Joey Alders in fourth place, and Jake Hughes just behind him there. So that is the battle for fourth place, and Joey Alders locking up a little bit there. That won't do his tyres any good, and it looks like he's lost a bit of time because Jake Hughes is now right on his gearbox. Joey Alders, the championship leader after 2 wins and a third place last time out at Sepang, and he's currently in fourth position, but Jake Hughes right up behind him now after that small mistake. He just locked his tyres there, and that won't do him any good at all. But Ukio Sasahara still in the lead. Jack Doohan still in second place. Sasahara pulling out a little bit of a gap now, 1.2 seconds the gap between Sasahara and Jack Doohan, with Nikita Mazepin a further second behind in third place. Joey Alders in fourth place and Jake Hughes in fifth place. That's probably the closest battle on track at the moment, the battle for fourth and fifth between Alders and Hughes. Devlin De Francesco, the Canadian driver, and there he is, in fact, the Canadian driver in sixth position. Pietro Fittipaldi down to seventh place, so not a great start for the Brazilian driver, down from fifth on the grid. 8th place, still Jamie Chadwick. Sebastian Fernandez, the Spanish driver, making his F3 Asian Championship debut here this weekend. He wasn't racing in the first weekend, the first round at Sepang last month, but he's in 9th place, the same 9th place that he started on the grid. And that is the 77 car. That is Fernandez. Just having a little look up the inside of Jamie Chadwick. This the battle then for 8th position, but Chadwick holds firm. She's very familiar with this car because this is exactly the same specification car that she drove in the W Series last year, which of course she won. This F3 Asian Championship is a spec series, so everybody has the same car, everybody has the same engine, and in theory, at least then, it should be all about the driver. And the cream should rise to the top if everybody has the same machinery, as Fittipaldi just looked as if he went a little bit wide there, but doesn't seem to have lost any time. This Dubai Autodrome, a fairly new track, and lots of runoff, and a very wide track it is, very reminiscent of the new generation of tracks built by or designed by Hermann Tilke, the German architect who's designed so many of the world's top racetracks over the last 20 years or so. Jake Hughes there, just having a little look in his mirrors. He's fallen back a little bit now into the clutches of Devlin De Francesco, who himself has his mirrors full of Pietro Fittipaldi. So the battle for 5th, 6th and 7th, as Fittipaldi getting quite close now behind De Francesco. Fittipaldi in the red car on the left, De Francesco on the right of your picture there, as they go through the sweeping bends around the back of this Dubai Autodrome. Very difficult to pass through these sequence of middle speed corners. The best overtaking opportunities at the Dubai Autodrome generally turn 1 after the start-finish straight, as the Pinnacle Motorsport mechanics all busy looking on there. Turn 1 and turn 10, the right-hand hairpin after the long back straight. This is the long back straight, and they'll be braking hard down to turn 10 now. But I wonder if Fittipaldi's going to have a little look. He's just moving out to the right, but not quite close enough. That was a bit of a half-hearted attempt, or perhaps just trying to pressurize De Francesco into a mistake there, making sure that De Francesco's mirrors are full of that rather imposing red livery that is on Fittipaldi's car. But there he is, the 21 car, Pietro Fittipaldi, still in 7th place. De Francesco in the 17 car still in 6th position, and Jake Hughes just pulling away a little bit more now in 5th place. It's still all very tight. Nobody's really pulling away at a great rate here. It was very, very tight in qualifying between the top 15 or so drivers, just 2.5 seconds separating 1st from 15th, and on a lap where well, it's nearly a 2-minute lap in these F3 cars, then that's really very close indeed to have 15 cars separated by just 2.5 seconds, and one of the drivers going very wide. I think that's Yu Kwai in his very distinctive helmet, the number 4 car. Yu Kwai just running wide, losing a few positions there. But lots of runoff here at the Dubai Autodrome, and Yu Kwai back in the race. Interesting to see when they do go offline, the cars, just how much dust and sand they do pick up. And they won't want to be driving through that too often, because that won't do their tyres and their radiators any good at all, getting all that dust and sand stuck in there. As we look again at the 21 car, that is Fittipaldi, in that very strikingly liveried red and black car. And Devlin De Francesco just ahead of Fittipaldi in 6th place. This is probably the closest battle on track at the moment. Jake Hughes in 5th position. And Jake Hughes, in fact, that last time round set the fastest lap of the race, a 1:55.8. Yukio Sasahara is still leading the race. His last lap, a 1:56.6. So Jake Hughes putting the hammer down in the last lap or so. As we look again at Fittipaldi, still in 7th place. Difficult to overtake at this section of the track. Not too much in the way of overtaking opportunities generally, but turn 1 and turn 10, probably the main ones, as Fittipaldi goes a little bit wide over the curbs and his car bounces up and down, and I'm sure he won't want to do that too much and risk further damage to his car. That will have lost him a bit of time as well, and you can see he's dropped back a little bit from Devlin De Francesco now as they go through that left-hander there. And this is Jamie Chadwick and Sebastian Fernandez having a good old ding-dong battle now for 8th place. And Fernandez looked as if he got good drive there. He's challenging Chadwick now as they come through the last corner, turn 16, but not really an overtaking spot there. But I wonder if Fernandez is going to have a run at Jamie Chadwick here. Maybe he'll get the toe from Chadwick's car as they go on this long back straight. You can see Chadwick looking in her mirrors there. She goes to the inside, going defensive. Fernandez going to the outside. They go wheel to wheel around turn 1. And is there enough room there? Chadwick still in the inside. They bang wheels. Fernandez off the track. And I should think he may have to give that position back, because I'm not sure that he was ahead of Chadwick as he went off the track to take to the escape road there. Very tight racing between those two. Chadwick on the inside and Fernandez on the outside. And certainly no quarter given there. But Fernandez ahead of Chadwick into 8th place for the time being. We'll see if the Spanish driver has to give that position back. But for the time being, he's barged his way through ahead into 8th place. Jamie Chadwick now down to 9th. And Yu Kwai in 10th place, and Yu Kanemaru following in 11th. This is the train now. That sequence of cars, 9th, or 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, as Chadwick looking for a bit of revenge, going back up the inside of Fernandez. And Fernandez just pulled wide there, didn't really put up too much of a fight. I wonder if that's because he knew he might have to give that place back. So Jamie Chadwick reclaiming 8th position now. Fernandez back down to 9th. Yu Kwai still in 10th, Yu Kanemaru in 11th, and Tommy Smith, the young Australian driver, in 12th place. The 5 of them absolutely together at this point in the race, with 5 laps having been completed. Ukio Sasahara still leading the race from Jack Doohan and Nikita Mazepin, but this 5-car battle is the main interest in the race at the moment between these 5 cars: Chadwick, Fernandez, Yu Kwai, Kanemaru and Smith, all absolutely together as they go through the right-hander. That is turn 15 before they go onto that long back straight after turn 16. And Yu Kwai just getting a little bit wide there coming out of 15. And I wonder if Kanemaru is going to be close enough there. But the 3 of them all a little bit messy as they went through that last corner. Jamie Chadwick again looking in her mirrors. Fernandez is going to have another bite at the cherry here. Chadwick goes defensive, but Fernandez has got up onto the inside. But can Chadwick get back round on the outside? Because Fernandez, you saw the dust kicking up as he went through there. And I wonder if that might have affected his handling and his braking. And Chadwick, is she going to go up for a look up the inside? Well, there's not really a great deal of overtaking opportunities as they go through these sweeping bends. It looks as if it's all over bar the shouting for the time being, and Fernandez has got through into 8th place. Chadwick down into 9th. Yu Kwai still in 10th, and Kanemaru and Smith maintaining a watching brief very closely indeed in 11th and 12th. But Fernandez up into 8th place. Yu Kwai going a little bit wide there, but Kanemaru not quite close enough to take advantage. And it looks as if Amaury Cordial, the Belgian driver, is joining the party as well. These cars have been squabbling amongst each other for several laps now, and that's allowed Cordial to close up as Tommy Smith goes for a look up the inside of Yu Kanemaru. That goes side by side, and Tommy Smith makes it through into 11th place. So Kanemaru down to 12th position. Nice bit of opportunism there from Tommy Smith. He was at the back of that pack, and going over the curbs there, that is Yu Kanemaru. And the Japanese driver looks as if he just got a bit wide and hit those curbs and really got a bit of air as he went around there. But looks as if he's okay, back up at racing speed. He doesn't want to be doing that too much because not only will it damage his car, but he'll also get an almighty jolt around the back of his spine, because these drivers sit very low in these cars. There's no real suspension to speak of, certainly none that you'd find in your road car. And I should think Yu Kanemaru will feel that in the morning, because that was quite a hefty whack he took. Meanwhile, let's have a look at the front of the field now. Ukio Sasahara is still in the lead, but Jack Doohan really closing very close now. He's just half a second behind Jack Doohan, behind Sasahara. And Jack Doohan, who is currently second in the championship, he won the last race, the third race of 3 at Sepang last time out, Jack Doohan, and he'll be keen to make it back-to-back wins at the moment. He's pressurising Sasahara very hard indeed, just half a second behind now, and they're dropping Nikita Mazepin a little bit at the moment. Jack Doohan 1 second quicker than Mazepin, on that last lap. The gap between them now 2.8 seconds. So Mazepin being left behind a little bit by Sasahara and Doohan. There are your two leaders, Sasahara and Doohan. Mazepin just in the background there, and it looks as if he's under pressure there from Joey Alders. Mazepin just having a think about going to the inside as they go through the tight right-hander at turn 10. Mazepin just clearly a little bit worried about Joey Alders, the Dutch driver, who is just 0.4 of a second behind Mazepin as they went through the start-finish line last time out. And this is Sasahara and Jack Doohan just coming up to the highest point on the track there as they climb, as they go through that double right-hander and then down the hill again to the kink at turn 13. And a big lock-up there from Sasahara. And he's clearly feeling the pressure because that was a big lock-up. He doesn't want to be doing that too often because that's really going to damage his tyres. You get flat spots on those tyres and then they don't work as well as they would normally, and Sasahara does not want to be doing that too often. Just an indication of how hard he's pushing and how hard Jack Doohan is pushing to keep Sasahara under pressure as they go through the start-finish line once again. Sasahara's not really lost any time to Jack Doohan. The gap's still just over half a second, and Joey Alders putting Mazepin under pressure now. The gap 0.47 of a second between Mazepin and Joey Alders. So some good racing at the front, good battles between Sasahara and Doohan for the lead and between Mazepin and Joey Alders for third position. But goodness me, that was a really big lock-up from Ukyo Sasahara, and he won't want to do that too much. But it looks as if he's lived to fight another day. He's got a get-out-of-jail-free card there because he's still leading the race, and he's still around about half a second ahead of Jack Doohan, the young Australian driver competing under a British racing licence, but he's very much Australian, son of the legendary motorcycle racer Mick Doohan. This is the battle between Jack Doohan and Sasahara, and you can see Jack Doohan getting very close, having a little look, but not quite close enough. Sasahara, interesting to see him just looking this way and that in his mirrors. He wants to know where Jack Doohan is. He knows that he's right behind him, and Jack Doohan does appear to be even closer this lap than he has been on previous laps. So over half of the race gone now. This is a half-hour race. We have 13 minutes left to go, so 17 minutes having elapsed, and Sasahara still in the lead. He's held that lead all the way through from his pole position, made a very, very good start. This is where he locked up last time, that kink at turn 13 before the long left-hander at turn 14. This is turn 15, the right-hander, a short straight before braking down to the final corner, turn 16, this long right-hander. Very important to get good drive off this because now there's a long straight and Jack Doohan will fancy his chances of a move. Look at Sasahara looking in his mirrors because he knows that Jack Doohan is right there. Doohan may get a little toe from Sasahara as they go on this long straight, as they brake hard down to the right-hander at turn 1, but Jack Doohan not close enough for a move up the inside yet. There is the kink at turn 2. That's flat out, and we've seen a few drivers taking to the escape road on the left-hand side there. Fernandez, the Spanish driver, did it a few laps ago when he tried to overtake Jamie Chadwick, and we saw a few of them jostling for position early on in the race on the opening couple of laps, doing that as well. But very dusty offline. You don't want to do that too often. The grip level won't be nearly as high, and with the amount of dust and sand there is in and around this Dubai Autodrome, you don't want to get that into your radiators as well. That'll clog things up and the engine will overheat. This is the long back straight. You can still see Sasahara looking in his mirrors, just making sure that he knows where Jack Doohan is. And Jack Doohan not quite close enough just yet. He had a little look there last time around, but I think maybe that was a bit of a half-hearted effort, just making sure that he knows that Sasahara knows that he's there and waiting to pounce on any mistake from the Japanese driver. But apart from that big lock-up the other lap, which doesn't seem to have affected him too badly, Sasahara so far has not put a foot wrong. He's managing that gap, he's holding that lead, and he's certainly dealing very well with the pressure that Jack Doohan is placing him under as they go through the tight left-hander. And this time it's Jack Doohan's turn for a little bit of a lock-up, just a little puff of smoke from his left rear tyre there, and that won't do his chances any good. It looks as if Sasahara's just pulled out a little bit of time there. Jack Doohan will have lost a little bit of time from having locked his wheel there. as they come around turn 16 to start another lap. 10 laps having been completed. This is lap 11 now. Sasahara still in the lead. Jack Doohan still in second place. Mazepin now down into fourth position because Joey Alders has made it past. We didn't see that, but Joey Alders, the Dutch driver, up into third place. Mazepin down to fourth. Jake Hughes has also, well, he's also still in fifth position, I should say, and Devlin DeFrancesco there in sixth place. And a little bit of a gap, 2 seconds in fact, before Sebastian Fernandez, who is up into seventh place. So he's overtaken Pietro Fittipaldi, who's down into eighth place. So while we've been looking at the battle between Sasahara and Doohan at the front of the field, there has certainly been some adventures in the middle of the pack. And Joey Alders, the Dutch driver, in third position now. And he'll be wanting to increase his championship lead. 65 points he has at the moment, ahead of Jack Doohan on 47 and Mazepin on 40. There they go on this long back straight. The 23 car, Joey Alders in third place, followed by Mazepin, Hughes, DeFrancesco, Fernandez and Fittipaldi. Jamie Chadwick still in ninth place. Tommy Smith up into 10th place now, ahead of Yu Kanemaru, who is ahead of Amaury Cordial. Tatiana Calderon in third place. Yu Kuai down into 14th place, so the Chinese driver has dropped several places. So Yu Kuai must have had some sort of incident out there somewhere. Alessio De Leda in 15th place, and then bringing up the rear, the two drivers in the Masters category, Paul Wong and Thomas Ludi. All 17 cars still running, so great to see that everybody's still here. Nobody's dropped out, no one had any mechanical failures, and no one has tripped over each other. At the front, it's all about these two, Ukyo Sasahara and Jack Doohan, now with a big lead over Joey Alders in third place, some 7.5 seconds, and it does look as if now, with just over 8 minutes of the race left, it's going to be a straight fight between Sasahara and Doohan for the lead. But Jack Doohan, sorry, not his famous father Mick Doohan. Jack Doohan just going a little bit wide there as he went through the kink at turn 2, and that looks like it's lost him a bit of time because Sasahara now noticeably further ahead. Yes, look at that gap between Sasahara and Doohan, much bigger than it was on the previous lap. And yeah, Jack Doohan just made a small mistake there going through turn 2, just took a little bit too much curb, and that slowed him down quite considerably. So Sasahara now with a bit of breathing room as Yu Kuai comes into the pits. We've seen the Chinese driver dropping down the order quite a bit in recent laps. So Yu Kuai into the pits for what looks like an unscheduled pit stop. There he is, Yu Kuai, the number 4 car. And mechanics there with some tyres ready. Doesn't look as if they're entirely ready for him, so I wonder if this is unscheduled. But Yu Kuai there sitting on his marks. Just the front tyres that it looks like are being changed at the moment. Yu Kuai with that very striking helmet, very reminiscent of Ayrton Senna's helmet. Well, very reminiscent. It's almost identical, in fact, to the famous Brazilian driver. The front tyres having been changed now, and now they're moving to the rear tyres. So I wonder if he had a bit of an incident, maybe a bit of an off somewhere, and flat spotted those tyres, because you wouldn't expect the drivers to need to make a tyre stop. These races just half an hour long. It's not particularly hot here in Dubai. It's late afternoon, early evening, and in January it's a lot less hot in the Middle East than it is in the summer months. As we look at the number 44 car, that is Paul Wong, who is leading the Masters category as Yu Kuai comes back out to rejoin the race. So Paul Wong still leading Thomas Ludi in the Masters category as Yu Kuai comes down the pit lane and comes back into the race with just about 6 minutes to go. Ukyo Sasahara is still in the lead. Jack Doohan still in second place, now around about 1 second behind Sasahara. So the Japanese driver has a little bit more breathing space at the front. Joey Alders, the Dutch driver, in third place, and it is just starting to rain here in Dubai, interestingly. Now, Yu Kuai, when he came in for those tyres, it looked like he was putting on another set of dry tyres. It didn't look like he was putting wet tyres on, but there are a few spots of rain, and we did have a brief shower earlier on in the day. It was dry when the race started, and we are expecting quite a bit more rain tomorrow as well, which should really shake things up. But no sign of any of the drivers coming in for wet tyres just yet. And certainly the lap times do seem to be dropping. Sasahara's last lap, a 1:58.5, as Fittipaldi just has a little look up the inside of De Francesco there as they go through the hairpin at turn 10, but no way through. And yes, Sasahara, as I was saying, his last lap, a 1:58.5, and that is nearly 3 seconds per lap slower than his best time, as Jamie Chadwick goes up the inside of Fittipaldi as they come through the long right-hander there, but Fittipaldi's got the inside line, and they go side by side. Chadwick on the left-hand side, Fittipaldi on the right. This is the kink at turn 13, coming down into the left-hander at turn 14, and Jamie Chadwick makes it through. So Chadwick up into 8th place, Fittipaldi crowded out and down to 9th place, having started 5th. So a good move there from Jamie Chadwick as all the drivers come round to start another lap here. Let's have a look at the lap times again, see if they've fallen any further. And Sasahara's last lap, still a 1:58.6, as this is the battle now for 4th place between Nikita Mazepin and Fernandez, who goes around the outside. A very opportunistic move there, just got a bit sideways. Great car control from Sebastian Fernandez, who is absolutely flying now in this late stage of the race, up into 4th place. Mazepin down into 5th position. The Russian driver went defensive there, but Fernandez had so much more speed. He was able to go around the outside and got a little bit sideways as he put the brakes on, but just managed to hook everything up in time. A great piece of driving there from Sebastian Fernandez, who's now up into 4th place and looks like he's really enjoying himself out there as we move into the last stage of the race. Just 3.5 minutes to go. Fernandez and another one of the drivers to go, a bit curb hopping there, and he gets a little bit of air, but doesn't seem to have affected him too much, and he's already pulling away from Mazepin. So Fernandez really enjoying himself out there. This is the battle now for 6th place. That is Jake Hughes at the front, De Francesco in 7th, Jamie Chadwick in 8th place, and Pietro Fittipaldi in 9th position. There's Jake Hughes. And De Francesco looked as if he was going up the inside there, and De Francesco has made it past up into 6th place. So Jake Hughes down into 7th. He's on the outside now, De Francesco on the inside. This is the last lap of the race, so any jockeying for position has to be done now. De Francesco is in 6th place. Jake Hughes still chasing in 7th place. Jamie Chadwick up into 8th, and she's being challenged now by Fittipaldi as De Francesco is being challenged by Jake Hughes as they go around the left-hander at turn 14, and De Francesco, a big lock up there. Jake Hughes on the inside, De Francesco on the outside, but De Francesco now has the inside line for this right-hander, and one of the cars, that is the number 9 car, that is Thomas Ludi, and he looks as if he's lost it, or he's had some sort of problem, but Thomas Ludi, they're off the track. This is the last lap. So De Francesco 6th, Jake Hughes 7th, Jamie Chadwick 8th, Pietro Fittipaldi 9th, Tommy Smith 10th, Yu Kanemaru in 11th position. Well, absolutely breathless action in this last few minutes here at the Dubai Autodrome. Just 2 minutes left on the clock. We've seen the last lap sign going up there. So this is it, the last chance for some jockeying for position there. It looks as if, yes, De Francesco's still just pulling away a little bit now. Jake Hughes in 7th place. Jamie Chadwick challenging in 8th place now. And Pietro Fittipaldi challenging behind Jamie Chadwick and going up the inside. The two of them go side by side. I wonder if they might get 2 in 1 here. And there's just no way past. You saw Fittipaldi locking his front left tyre there. It looks as if he's overtaken Chadwick and as if he was going by Jake Hughes as well. And Tommy Smith now in 10th place is joining the party as well. These four absolutely together. Fantastic racing as Fittipaldi looking up the inside of Jamie Chadwick, who's looking up the inside of Jake Hughes, and Jamie Chadwick takes that position up into 7th place. Pietro Fittipaldi makes it by as well into 8th place. Jake Hughes crowded out there down into 9th position with Tommy Smith very close behind Jake Hughes now in 10th place. Jamie Chadwick now in 7th, Fittipaldi in 8th, Jake Hughes still in 9th place and being challenged by Tommy Smith in 10th position, and Yu Kanemaru in 11th place as well. Jake Hughes looks as if he's well, he's certainly losing time there, and Tommy Smith goes through quite easily there. as Sasahara there. And this is the battle for the lead. Sasahara and Jack Doohan starting another lap, so perhaps it wasn't the final lap after all. This might be the final lap. Sasahara, is he going a little bit wide there? Yes, well, it is the final lap. So Sasahara and Jack Doohan, this is the battle for the lead. Just just under 4/10 of a second, the gap between Sasahara and Jack Doohan. This is the final lap. No question about it now. Sasahara in the lead, Jack Doohan in second place, and this is the battle for the lead. One of these two drivers, it looks like, will be winning this race. And Sasahara going a little bit wide there and losing time. And Jack Doohan now right up on the back of the Japanese driver. Sasahara just going wide and taking a bit of curb, and that really hurt him there. And Jack Doohan running a little wide there, but I don't think that's hurt him too much. Sasahara still in the lead, but Jack Doohan really closing now on this straight here. Can he make it by? He goes to the outside. Sasahara goes defensive and around the outside. This is fantastic racing. Jack Doohan around the outside. Sasahara going defensive, protecting the inside. They still go side by side, and Jack Doohan takes some of that polystyrene brake marker board there. Well, absolutely breathless stuff here at Dubai. Tremendous stuff in the last few corners. Jack Doohan weaving this way and that, trying every trick in the book to get past Sasahara, even taking some of the marker boards with him, but it doesn't seem to have affected him too much, and he goes to the outside now. Sasahara absolutely doing everything he can to keep Doohan behind him. They go side by side. This is the last chance. If he's going to do it, it has to be now. They both lock up. Jack Doohan goes to the inside, and has he made it through? And they touch, and that is contact. Sasahara's wheel is off, and Jack Doohan goes, and it looks as if Jack Doohan is going to win the race now. It doesn't look as if he was damaged too badly, but look, Sasahara's left rear tyre completely off. The yellow flags being waved there. And, bitter disappointment for Ukyo Sasahara. The checkered flag wins, and Jack Doohan takes first place here in Dubai. Absolutely breathless finish to the race. Joey Alders just ahead of Sebastian Fernandez, who went very wide at the last corner there, up into third place. And, what a disappointing end for Ukyo Sasahara. And it was such a great battle in the last couple of laps between him and Jack Doohan. And unfortunately, it all ended in tears for the Japanese driver. Looked as if that was just a racing incident, the two of them going side by side. And unfortunately for Ukyo Sasahara, Jack Doohan's front left tagged Jack Doohan's front right wheel tagged Sasahara's rear left wheel, and you can see the damage on Sasahara's car. Very, very disappointing indeed for the Japanese driver. But congratulations to Jack Doohan, who only led the last lap of the race. Ukyo Sasahara led every single lap except the last one. Jack Doohan then the winner of race one here of round two at Dubai. Joey Alders in second place, and this man, Sebastian Fernandez, was really enjoying himself in the last few laps because he overtook Nikita Mazepin for third place and was really, really challenging very hard. And just 0.2 of a second behind Joey Alders by the end of the race. Well, it was a bit of a slow burner, but it certainly got very exciting in the last few laps, and indeed the last few corners. And I wonder how much the rain may have played a part there, because the last few laps, Jack Doohan's last lap, 2 minutes 1.9, and that's some 6 seconds slower than his fastest lap. Obviously, he had a bit of that ding-dong battle with Ukyo Sasahara at the end, and that will have cost him some time as well. But Jack Doohan, the victor here in race one here in Dubai. Joey Alders in second place, and Sebastian Fernandez, after a very, very good second stint of the race, up from 9th on the grid to finish in third place. And it's well worth taking into consideration these finishing positions, because race 2 tomorrow, the starting grid will be decided by the finishing positions for this race 1 now. So Jack Doohan will be starting from pole, Joey Alders from second, Sebastian Fernandez from third position. Nikita Mazepin finished in fourth place after starting second on the grid. Never really got going, Nikita Mazepin. We were expecting him to challenge for the victory, but once he lost that second place at the start to Jack Doohan, he never really seemed to be able to keep pace with the two leaders, Doohan and Sasahara. But Mazepin, nevertheless, finishing in 4th place. As we look at the leader, Jack Doohan, we'll be hearing from him shortly, and it'll be fascinating to hear his views on that last lap collision between him and Sasahara, because they were really going very, very hard indeed. These two very, very good racers. Jack Doohan just 16 years of age as he steps out of his car. And it's his birthday later on in the month, so a very nice early birthday present for Jack Doohan, the Australian driver, receiving the congratulations from his team and his mechanics. And Jack Doohan indeed then making it 2 wins from 2 races, because he won race 3 in round 1 in Sepang last month. So back-to-back wins in the 2020 F3 Asian Championship for Jack Doohan, as he just goes through a little bit of a debrief there, explaining exactly what happened. A very exciting last few laps there for Jack Doohan. Bitter disappointment for Ukyo Sasahara, though, the Japanese driver who led absolutely all the way, apart from the last few corners of the race. But Jack Doohan to finish first. First you have to finish, as they say in motorsport, and Jack Doohan was certainly in the right place at the right time. Jack Doohan got a lot to say there, and let's hear from him now, and he's down there with Feline.
Hi, Jack, congratulations.
Yeah.
And so what happened in the end? It's quite dramatic in the end of the race, right?
Yeah, it was pretty tough. Obviously, I had the pace on Yukio for the whole race, and I didn't want to kind of overkill the tyres at the start too much, because I didn't know if they were playing strategy or not. But then, yeah, obviously, I made a little mistake with about 6 laps to go, but I was able then to capitalise it with a bit of free air and come back to Yukio. And then, yeah, obviously, I'll wait till I see the onboard and more to talk about the incident. But yeah, I did what I could. I was trying to be as mutual as possible with the reactions, but yeah, we'll discuss into further research to say anything more.
Thank you. 那刚刚我问到呢 ，Jack 在比赛的最后到底发生了什么？因为一直都是石原Yukio 一直是在领跑的。那为什么他在最后呢？就是他也提到他一直呢希望能保持一个轮胎的状态，让轮胎能持续的一个很好的运作状态。不过呢，到了最后的时候呢，他希望在接近Yukio的时候呢，发生了一个非常就是。他很希望能保持一个很好的状态，但是还是跟他发生了一个碰撞，所以说导致了石原没有达到这个冠军的位置。那么他也说到之后呢，可能会有一个调查。Back to you guys.
Yes, Jack Doohan's celebrations a little bit muted there. We have seen that cars 7 and 11, the incident involving those 2 cars is under investigation, and that is the last lap incident between Ukyo Sasahara and Jack Doohan. So the stewards are going to have a look at that, and so it may yet be that Jack Doohan might lose that race victory if the stewards deem that he was in any way at fault. We haven't seen a replay yet. Obviously, all the action in the last few laps really happened very quickly. It was all a bit breathless. We haven't had a chance to have a look at that yet, but the stewards and Alex Yoong, who is the advisor that we spoke to on the grid earlier, he will be well placed to offer his advice as to what exactly should happen there. It may be that they decide that it's simply a racing incident and that no further action should be taken, and that Jack Doohan will be able to keep his victory, but we'll find out later on the results of the stewards' inquiry. But for the time being then, Jack Doohan, the winner of this race. Joey Alders in 2nd place and Sebastian Fernandez in 3rd position. We'll see those 3 on the podium shortly. And the sun now having set here in Dubai. Well, a bit of a slow burner of a race, but it certainly got interesting towards the end. That was race 1 here in Dubai. Race 2 and 3 here we still have to look forward to tomorrow, and the weather forecast is that there's going to be quite a bit more rain tomorrow. We saw a few spots today just towards the end of the race, and the drivers having to slow down slightly to take into account the moisture on the track, because it's not much fun driving on a wet track on those slick tyres with no tread. So we'll wait to see tomorrow what the weather's going to have in store for us, whether we're going to have a wet race with those wet tyres. We've already had a wet race at Sepang last month in December. It does tend to rain a lot in Malaysia, but it doesn't tend to rain quite so much in this part of the world. So it'll be very interesting to see exactly what effect that will have on the track. There you see the top three drivers, Jack Doohan on the right-hand side, Fernandez in the middle there, and Joey Alders, the championship leader, who finished in second place. He was on the left there. They're all just waiting now to go onto the podium and enjoy themselves. Of course, this only provisional at the moment. We have to wait and see the result of that steward's inquiry involving the incident between Jack Doohan and Ukyo Sasahara. It may be that the stewards decide to penalise Jack Doohan, in which case it's likely that he will lose that victory. But for the time being, it will be Jack Doohan standing on the top step of the podium, with Joey Alders in second place, and the series debutant Sebastian Fernandez in third position. And Fernandez, I think it's worth mentioning, really did have a good race. Started in 9th place and finished in third position, made up 6 places. That's the most that anybody made up during the course of this race. And this, of course, his first time racing in the F3 Asian Championship this year. Fernandez, he didn't take part in the last race at Sepang. So Fernandez, a very good start to his 2020 F3 Asian Championship season. Nikita Mazepin in 4th position. The Russian driver not had such a good race. We were expecting more from him, having started second, just a little bit behind Ukyo Sasahara, but Mazepin finishing ultimately in 4th place off the podium. And Joey Alders, who finished in 2nd place, still in the lead of the championship, but his championship lead has been cut slightly. He was on 65 points, and Jack Doohan in 2nd place was on 47 points. Joey Alders will receive 18 points for his 2nd place, and Jack Doohan 25 points for his race win. So if my maths serves me well, that puts Joey Alders on 83 points and Jack Doohan on 72. So Jack Doohan really having closed the gap on Joey Alders in the championship so far. But still plenty of racing to go. This was only the 4th race of a 15-race season. Remember, 3 races across 5 rounds. This is round 2 here in Dubai, and 2 more races here tomorrow. Then, after Dubai, we go straight over to the capital of the United Arab Emirates, to Abu Dhabi, to the Yas Marina Circuit, the host of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, the Formula 1 race, a fantastic facility. And that is next weekend, so there's no rest for the wicked, no time to go home. All of these drivers and all of their crew and all of their equipment will go straight up from Dubai to Abu Dhabi for another weekend's racing, another 3 races around the Yas Marina Circuit. Then there's a bit of a gap, 4 weeks before we go back to Sepang in Malaysia, where we had the first round earlier on last month in December. We're going back there on February the 14th for races 10, 11 and 12. And then after Sepang, it's up into Thailand to the Buriram International Circuit for races 13, 14 and 15. And that concludes on February the 23rd. So before the European season even starts, the F3 Asian Championship has already finished, and that gives the drivers a chance to compete in 2 championships in 1 year and accrue more of those all-important super license points. Many of these drivers with aspirations to race in Formula 1, and to race in Formula 1 you need a super license. 18 super license points on offer for the winner of this championship. Super license points goes all the way down to 9th in the championship, who will receive just 1 super license point. And the rules for super licenses state that you need 40 points over the last 3 seasons. So with 18 points available for the champion of this F3 Asian Championship, and then the opportunity to go and compete in another championship later on this year when the European season gets started. There's certainly some fantastic opportunities to gain those all-important super license points for all the drivers here competing this weekend and indeed throughout the rest of the 2020 F3 Asian Championship season. This, of course, a spec series, everyone driving the same car, everyone with the same engine, and in theory that does mean that it's all about the drivers. And let's go to the podium ceremony now.
Ceremony for 2020 F3 Asia Championship certificated by FIA Race 4. Now let's welcome our top 3 drivers onto the podium. The winner goes to car number 7 from Pinnacle Motorsport, Jake Duhan. The second place goes to car number 23 from Black Arts Racing, Joey Iders. The third place goes to car number 77 from Pinnacle Motorsport, Sebastian Fernandez. Congrats to all our drivers. Now it's my honor to invite Mr. Faisal I Salami, General Manager of Dubai Autodrome, to bring trophy to our winners.
Congratulations. Thank you. Well done.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Now let's invite our guests and drivers to take a good photo. Good photo. Okay, thanks. No. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Our tomorrow race 2 will start at 9:45 local time. See you tomorrow.
So that was race 1 here at Dubai. Some fantastic action and ultimately ending with Jack Doohan emerging victorious. But that victory at the moment is unconfirmed. We need to await the results of the stewards' inquiry. But for the time being, Jack Doohan in first place, Joey Alders in second place, and Sebastian Fernandez in third place. Coming up next will be the top 3 press conference.
Hello. Congrats to our winners. Jack, you just have a great start and also a good pace during the race. You know, Yukio Sasahara was a great guest driver, but you tried all to win the race. Could you tell us about your race?
Yeah, obviously. It was no good start. Not good enough though to take first, but no, still the pace was pretty decent. Obviously, didn't have the pace that the high-tech cars had for the first 2 laps. But from then on in, obviously, their pace started to drop away. I was able to put some more pressure on Yukio, and then made a short mistake, a little mistake, and like 6 laps to go, which pushed me a bit wide and lost me a bit of time. But luckily, obviously, my pace advantage over Yukio was still there, and I was able to catch back up, and then had a bit of a fight for the last few laps. There was an incident, but then, yeah, I ended up winning the race, so that was it. Thanks.
Good job and a good race. You gained some important points. Could you tell us about your race?
So yeah, important points. Race was good. Start was good. Starting 4 through the first corner in 4th, so that was all good. And after a couple of laps, overtook Fittipaldi, and from there I got a big gap to the back. But then it got a bit darker outside, and I got a dark visor as well, so it was difficult to see. So I lost some pace. It was difficult to see the apexes. So there we lost some time to the end. That was why he was getting closer to the end and had to fight for P2s. So, but in the end, it was all good and important points. So happy with that. Thank you.
This is your first race in F3 Asia Championship, and you have got to immediately your first podium. Could you share with us about your race?
So yeah, I started P9. Didn't have a great start. Dropped to P11 on the first lap. But yeah, from then I just focused on trying to recover some positions and not destroying my tires. And yeah, after some laps, I overtook to P7, and from there I just had a really good pace. I started overtaking a lot of cars, and yeah, on the last lap had a great battle with Joy in the dark. So yeah, it was a good race and nice podium.
Thank you. Now let's have a group photo.